morning and welcome to York Railway Station, and today you join me for a trip on the Yorkshire coast, and we'll be using an East Yorkshire Round Robin Rover ticket, which essentially gives you unlimited travel across to Hull, up to Scarborough and then back to York. So it should be a really nice round trip today. I'm going to be splitting it into 3 parts. Obviously this is part 1 and we will be travelling to Beverly on the northern service behind me. It goes via Hull. It should be a really nice journey. It's a sunny day. So let's hop on board. I'll explain a bit more about the tickets we've got today and we can enjoy a nice journey into Beverly. The East Yorkshire Round Robin is a type of rover ticket valid for 1 day from anywhere on the circular route spanning northern Humberside and East Yorkshire. Starting at the Grand Station of York, the Round Robin takes in the line to Hull via Selby, the scenic Yorkshire coastline up to the seaside resort of Scarborough via key stations at Beverly, Driffield, Bridlington and Filey, and finally the line back to York via the 2 intermediate stops at Seamer and Moulton. Of course, being a rover ticket, travellers are permitted in either direction, with the full benefits of being able to hop on any train, though restricted to after 9 AM on weekdays. For today's adventure, we're starting at the city of York itself, having arrived on an LNER service from Peterborough, and will be travelling in an anti-clockwise direction, with the first leg of our route over to the market town of Beverly, as seen here. Upon leaving York, our service is one of the few that goes directly to Selby, rather than via Church Fenton, following the East Coast Main Line in a southerly direction. After joining the Selby Line, which links Leeds with Hull, we make stops at various stations along the way, including Howden, Gilberdyke and Brough, before arrival into the city itself. With a short turnaround, we retrace our steps in a westerly direction before swinging north for the short stretch onwards to Beverly. Total journey time to cover this 56-mile route is scheduled to be 1 hour and 29 minutes, giving our northern service a very sedate average speed of 38 miles per hour. With a pretty tight change of just 10 minutes between our LNER service and the connection onwards to Beverly, we hastily headed over to the ticket machines to buy our rovers, which cost £32.60 each, or £21.70 with the railcard discount. And with the all-important tickets soon in hand, it was time to head down to Platform 1, where our 10:44 service, operated by Northern Class 155, was waiting to depart. Built by Leyland Bus between 1986 and 1987, these 2-car DMUs were originally a fleet of 42, though only 7 of these remain today, with the other 35 units being converted and split into single-carriage Class 153s, making them some of the most unusual diesels left on the UK rail network.
Selby.
Looking at the interior, seating is laid out in a standard 2+2 configuration, with the seats themselves being perfectly comfortable for the short regional routes they serve, featuring a small fold-down tray table, USB sockets at each place, and an opening window for ventilation. Soon enough, our little DMU begins to fully open up, reaching its top speed of 75 miles per hour as we cruise along the East Coast Main Line upon departure from York. At this point, we're actually traversing one of the most recent stretches of the East Coast route, having been opened in 1983 as a 14-mile-long realignment after an area of potential substance was found over the Selby coalfield. As a result, we leave the main line at Hambleton Junction to join the line to Hull, just a few minutes before arriving at our first intermediate stop of Selby itself. We've made it to Selby about 10 minutes early actually, so I've had an unexpected opportunity to jump off the train and have a look around the station and its swing bridge at the end of the platform. So Hull train service coming in behind me there. So yeah, I'm going to jump back on board and we continue our journey to Beverly. Selby railway station was originally opened in 1834 with the construction of a line between Shaftholme Junction near Doncaster and York in 1871 placing the station itself on the new route for the East Coast Main Line. Of course, as mentioned earlier, the main line no longer runs through the town, though there are still regular links down to London from Hull trains, as well as a variety of local services operated by Northern and TransPennine. Back on board with departure bang on time, we almost immediately crossed Selby's swing bridge over the River Ouse, which was built in 1891 and remains in regular use, having undergone extensive restoration in 2014. Not long after departing the station at Howden, we soon join with the line from Doncaster via Goole as we pull into Gilberdyke, the third intermediate stop on our journey to Beverly. At this point, it's worth noting that this section of railway between Selby and Ferriby is said to be one of the longest straight sections of line in the UK at approximately 22 miles in length, stretching across the flat and open farmland of North Humberside. Until 2018, this section was operated using a series of mechanical signals and signal boxes, all but gone after a £50 million modernisation project by Network Rail. However, we soon passed the box at Crabley Creek, which is very much still in use due to the original deeds of the land requiring a manned crossing for farm traffic, a remarkable survivor of a rapidly disappearing era. Departure from Brough means we're soon speeding alongside the Humber Estuary with some beautiful views on this clear sunny day. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the 1.38 mile long Humber Bridge, which, when opened in 1981, was the longest suspension bridge in the world and is now estimated to carry over 35,000 cars every day. Not long after passing under the busy road traffic crossing the estuary, we soon pull into the grand terminus at Hull itself. This surprisingly magnificent station was opened in 1847 and later enlarged by North Eastern Railway architect William Bell in 1904, giving us the beautiful train shed seen here. Having arrived at Hull, our service actually has a 10-minute stopover as we conclude our journey on the Selby Line before retracing our steps out of the station towards the Yorkshire coastline, once again passing the 1930s LNER signal box on the station approach. About 6 minutes later, we pull into Cottingham, which is located about 4 miles northwest of the city centre and has a rather nice little station featuring the first of many North Eastern Railway cast iron footbridges we'll see today on our travels. Finally, after another short hop northwards, we soon approach today's final destination, Beverly, with its stunning Minster welcoming our arrival as we pull into the station. And with that, part 1 of today's East Yorkshire Round Robin is complete, meaning there's just enough time for me to wave goodbye to our Northern Class 155 as it sets off on the rest of its journey to Bridlington, and to summarise the video with my final thoughts. Well, we have made it to Beverley, and more specifically the beautiful Beverley Minster towering behind me there. And that concludes part 1 of today's East Yorkshire Round Robin trip from York itself. And yeah, it was a really nice journey this morning, quite relaxing, quite slow. We went along the Humber, that was really nice, and the weather has stayed sunny, which is good. Obviously that is part 1 down. Part 2 for the journey is up to Scarborough, so I hope you can join me next time for that journey, and all that's left to say is thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, see you in my next adventure.